I want to be known as one of the most like versatile, best artists in the country, if not the world. Just get so good at what you want to do and just be so good that they cannot ignore you.
In this episode, we sit down with Charlie Such, an artist whose work goes way beyond the canvas.
So I was working out in Zante and I got chatting with H, and we ended up going backstage to H's show in Manchester, and I gave him this painting, and then it was like so many reality TV people, footballers, Mason Mount, Scott McTominay, like all these different people just started coming together, and then the sort of business just went like that.
After sadly losing his mum 18 months ago, the way he sees life and the lens in which he sees it through has completely changed.
She's having seizures 4 times a day, and she's on so much medication, and she's been told it's terminal. She still thinks that I'm going to pull her out of there.
And we ask him a very important question. Are you worried that you're going to be replaced by AI?
Oh, jeez. Do you know what? I've actually got an answer for this. Somebody asked me this the other day.
This episode is not to be missed. I hope you enjoy it. Charlie, when did art stop being something that you did and started being something that you needed?
Wow. I mean, to be fair, when I first started art was when I was at school, and I was a kid, and I just used to do it for fun. And it was never about a career or anything. It was just about enjoying myself and just creating. That's what I love to do. And I never really had dreamt at that time that it would turn into a job at all or anything. I just loved the idea of just creating all the time. And so then when I started the business about 10 years ago, it was more so about, like I say, just creating. I just wanted to make stuff. I just wanted to do art. And for like now, when I look back, I never really had like a set kind of in my mind, like I want to get to this point, I want to get to that point. It was just about creating. I just wanted to make artwork. And it became something that I needed when I realized how big it could be, when I realized that this could actually be not only my career, but like my purpose. And this could be like what I'm here to do. And the support from my mum and my family just kind of really drilled that into me, that like they see it in me and I now see it, and this is something that could go quite big. And I think now my mission is to just take it as far as possible, and it's more of a mission now rather than just a hobby. You know, it's like I really want to give this everything I've got and try and do the best I can with the gifts I've been given.
This episode of the Tom's Talks podcast is proudly sponsored by Unthin, the hair growth company that's helping people feel more confident in their own skin. From supplements to topical product, Unthin is deeply rooted in the science behind helping people with a healthy hair and scalp. You can use the code TOM20, that's TOM20 for 20% off at the checkout. Thank you to Unthin for supporting honest conversations around mental health. What was the skill set in the initial days? Obviously, it must have been something there to carry on in the way that you have carried on. But
yeah.
Was it something that you were naturally gifted in, or was it something you had to work hard for?
Yeah, I think it's one of those, because a lot of people say about talent, and I've made a video about this the other day, because they talk about talent being something that you're born with. I massively disagree, because I think talent is just something that you're interested in. I think you're born with a set of interests in certain things. And you might kind of have a natural ability to kind of, you know, take it up, or when you first start, you might be a bit better than other people. But if you don't pursue that, it turns into nothing. And I think for me, when I was at school, there was just an interest. It was just a real keen interest in drawing, painting, creating. Like all my textbooks were just full of doodles. They didn't have any writing in them. Like my English books and that were just pictures. So it was like there was an interest there. And then I had to work on that interest. But to be fair, at the time, it wasn't even really work, because I'd come home and just draw anyway. So my kind of 10,000 hours was just completely like, it was just fun. You know, it was just what I wanted to do. So it wasn't like I was putting that time in for an end goal. It was just like, that's just what I enjoyed to do. And then over time, obviously, you know, if you do something enough, you just naturally become better. And it wasn't until I probably left school, when I was at school and my art teacher said to me, she was like, you need to get out of the class, because I was a bit of a class clown and I like being a center of attention. And she was like, go sit outside, because I really want you to do well, but you're getting too distracted in here. And I was like, all right, fine. So she sat me outside. I ended up getting an A star or whatever it was called back then. And that was like the moment for me where I was like, okay, this could actually like, maybe I'm getting pretty good at this. Like maybe I've got something. And then, yeah, throughout the years after that, it was just a case of honing that in and just, you know, focusing on it. And and trying to perfect my craft. And I always live by the rule that instead of like trying to prove to people what you're worth, be so good that you can't be ignored. You know, like just get so good at what you want to do and just be so good that they cannot ignore you. Like build the garden and the butterflies will come. You know, you don't need to go out there and catch them. And that's what I've always lived by. It's like, I just want to get so good at what I do and so streamlined and so efficient that you can't help but see me. I'm going to be there. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you look for the best artwork or the best artist, it's only a matter of time before my name shows up, because I'm going to get so good that it has to be. You know what I mean?
I love that. I can't wait to see it happen.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Well, obviously I bought 2 paintings. No, 3.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the first one was me and Liam.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was my best friend, who was Liam's best friend.
Yeah, that's
his,
right.
His wife and his first child, Robert.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Yeah. And then the third one was for my dad's 60th.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Which was, obviously, you imposed Liam into, and it was me, my sister Gemma, Alex, and my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell straight away that the paintings that you did for me were just next level.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I really, to be fair, with your ones, they're probably some of my proudest, because I, like you say with your brother, the way I was like superimposing them together. And obviously now you've got AI, so you can just put in like generate an image of this person with this person, and it'll give you like a BTEC copy of that image. But back then I was having to like actually try and manipulate the lighting of the different photos in order to match them together. Because like if you take an image of one person and another person, and one person's lit on an iPhone flash and the other one's outside in the sunset, the two lightings are completely different. So the way it affects their facial structure is totally different. So if you put those two people together, it'll look like a scrapbook, like two pictures just stuck together. I tried to make it look like that photo had been really taken in real life. And that's so much admin. Like, I don't think people understand how much went into it. They thought I was just taking a picture and taking a picture. But like, for example, if you've got light above your head, you're going to see a shadow under your nose, under your cheekbones, under your jaw. But if you move that light forward, you lose all those shadows. So to manipulate the light source, you have to try and judge where all the bone structures are, the depth of the shadows, and it was like so techie. But with your ones, I looked at them after. I don't really do this very often because I'm like quite critical of the work that I do. But I looked at yours after and I was like, I'm really happy with that. Like, I think that looks like kind of real, you know? Yeah. And I was really proud of them ones. And I know that you appreciate the one of you and your brother, because I think is that up somewhere in here?
It's at home now. It was in my office, but there's a video that we play at the end of the talks. And the context behind it was Fix You was one of my brother's funeral songs.
Okay.
And I was in the gym, and I was listening to a YouTube playlist with Alesso.
Yeah.
And Fix You came on, and I was like a bit taken back. I was like, what? And then it was a transition into Fix You into Lose Yourself, which was, I think, is it Alesso and One Republic? Anyway,
yeah,
this unbelievable remix of two songs brought together.
Yeah,
and it just like in my head, it was like that's my life.
Yeah.
Like Fix You was like reminds me of one of the worst parts of my life, losing my brother and his funeral. And you know, I remember the song being on, I was just in floods of tears for however long.
Yeah,
and then it comes into the second song, which is like uplifting and like it was. I just had this idea, and then I spoke to Dan, and I said, I've got this idea. I want to put together, life was shit, and this happened, and now it's like triumphant. And, and at the end of that video, it then comes to the painting in my office.
Yeah.
And he sat underneath it working.
Wow.
With my suit on and just doing my things. So
man.
It was a really, you remember that? Yeah. And then when you put it together, and I watched it, and I was in tears watching it. I was like, you just captured it in the best way possible. And then we put that, it's the video that I play at the end of the talks.
Yeah.
And we've changed it slightly now because there's a bit of my mum in and a bit of my dad in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so much like more emotional. It's just a really powerful, I'll show you after, it's a really powerful video, but it always ends with that photo, the painting that you did of me and Liam in my office.
Wow.
You're everywhere.
Yeah, man. Wow. No, that's an honor. I feel honored. Yeah. I mean, and the fact that you've been such a continued customer I really appreciate it, like genuinely, because there's a lot of times where I'll look at a piece of artwork after I'm finished and I think like I love it, but I don't know if the client's going to love it, because obviously sometimes you're buying them as a gift for someone else, so like me and you might like it, but then you give it to someone and they're like, oh, I'm not sure. So like there's so many people that have to approve you know, and to get the approval from like me and you, and then to put your family and stuff, and then for you to come back and ask for more, I really, really appreciate it.
And you are on the board.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But no, yeah, I really, really appreciate it, and I look forward to doing the next one.
Yeah, definitely. It's a credit to your work.
Thanks, mate.
I think the next one will be. I'm undecided yet. I get on really well with my mother-in-law, Jo. She's an amazing human being, and she's 60 this year.
Wow.
And the only reason why I'm kind of thinking maybe not is because we want another child as well. So we've got our firstborn on the way.
Yeah.
That is due at the beginning of June. So I kind of thought, and my sister-in-law Abby, who's amazing as well. She's got Leo, that's 3, and she's got her second child on the way. They're having a girl. So my thought process was anyway, his grandma and granddad, they're no longer with us.
Yeah.
And they were just so close, and I'm often told like of these incredible stories about like the memories that they had. And I wanted to do a painting of so Joe's mum and dad, Abby and Elliot, Leo, their second child, me and Amy, our first child, and then Amy's stepdad Tony.
Wow.
But then I thought, we want to have another kid in the next sort of 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
It'd be then kind of like, oh, we should have waited and then got our second child.
Yeah.
So there's that one, but then I also that was the first idea, but then the second idea was I wanted one of me and Amy and the baby.
Yeah.
When the baby comes.
Yeah.
So I'm a bit unsure yet.
Yeah, but I assume you're gonna have like a photo shoot, aren't you, when you have the baby? Yeah. So you'll have some really nice pictures, so we can maybe just whip something up. That would be really nice.
Yeah.
That'd be really, really
What do you think about the first idea?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of people.
The second child comes, because you can't. Like the thing is, like obviously we can plan for it, but it's like it's out of your control.
Yeah, this is it. I think. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, without sounding morbid, I like the idea of doing stuff like, you know, because this whole thing that I do is around bringing people that have passed into pictures, and then like bringing people together that aren't necessarily here, and I love for the maximum amount of people to be in that photo to still be here, and like. You know, I don't like taking like, you know, when people say like, I'd like all of my grandparents that have all passed with my newborn, it's like, well, why don't we get like your mum who's still here, or like your uncle who's still here? Why don't we get them in there? Because they can enjoy it, they can see it, you know? So my advice to you would be, if you've got an idea, you know, go for it. Like, you know, like let everyone enjoy it, let everyone see it who could be in it, you know? Because, you never know what could happen. And obviously if you do have another baby, there's always another canvas waiting for you.
True.
You know,
I'm just thinking, could you then paint in the second child?
You could definitely, yeah. If you did, I could position like you maybe in a way where you could end up having 2 babies. Like, so you could, or I could just, you know, if your arm's down to your side and you've got the baby here, we could just take your arm like that and just put another baby in. So we could always edit it as well, yeah. But that might be cool, actually. We can kind of keep adding people to the picture and end up like a Where's Wally. There's like 100 people on the canvas. That'd be quite cool.
The biggest canvas ever.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So what is the kind of artwork that you do then? For the listeners that aren't aware, what is the artwork that you do?
So I started off doing like traditional black and white portrait artwork. So it was just pictures of people's family and friends and pets and all that sort of stuff. I think how most artists start out, because it's quite a broad audience, you can kind of sell that to anybody because everyone's got a brother or a sister or a pet. So you can kind of always sell that. When I first started, it was literally just my friends and family friends that I'd beg them to buy a picture so I could like paint a picture and give it to them and take a photo with it and be like, I painted this and put it on Facebook. This is probably over 10 years ago now. And then I had the idea of working with influencers, and I was like, maybe that could be a way to like grow my portfolio a bit. So I was working out in Zante, and I got chatting with H, and my friend Alfie, he's a DJ, and he kind of set the whole thing up with his H's DJ. And we ended up going backstage to H's show in Manchester, and I gave him this painting. And from there, it just sort of snowballed. And then it was like so many reality TV people, footballers, Mason Mount, Scott McTominay, like all these different people just started coming together. And then the sort of business just went like that. And from there, it was just canvases everywhere. I had an office where I had canvases just all around the place. I was just doing all these commissions, black and white canvases. But they did become a little bit sort of, they weren't really very creative because I was just painting pictures that already existed. I wasn't creating anything. So I started to look into more creative stuff like mural artwork, because a lot of time with murals, they're like big, extravagant, vibrant, like, you know, massive, colourful artworks that are trying to like tell a story for a brand. So I looked into that more, and that was where I really found like my stride there. It was like, that was where I wanted to be. That was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And just through networking and whatnot, I've been able to fortunately travel like the world and go over to like Norway, Finland, Denmark. And
why those countries?
So I networked with a client from Denmark that came over to Wales to build a bar, one of their first UK venues, and they needed an artist because they have artwork in like every room of the building. And my friend was the contractor who was building this venue. And so these Danish guys have flown over to check the venue out, and they've said to my friend Toby, they said, we need an artist, do you know anyone? And he said, I actually do, yeah, I know a guy called Charlie, I'll give him a call. So he calls me up and he said, can you get to Wales tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, but why? He was like, there's a meeting I think you should come to. And I was like, can I not just do it over the phone? He went, trust me. He said, you'll want to be here for this. And I was like, all right. So I drove up. Turns out this Danish company are like huge, and they're trying to build these venues like everywhere, and really expand their sort of like their footprint. And I saw how big the opportunity was, and I said, look, if this goes well, can I be your only artist? Like, can I be the guy that does all the venues? And they were like, well, slow down. Like, we don't even know if you're any good yet. Like, we don't know who you are. And I was like, well, let me prove myself on this one, and then if this goes well, then we can have a chat. And they were like, all right. They said, what sort of stuff do you paint? And at the time, I didn't really paint much. It was black and white canvases or dogs. And I was just like, I can paint anything. And they were like, anything? I was like, literally anything. And they were like, can you do sign writing? I'd never done it before. And I was like, yeah, of course. And they were like, can you do like big canvases and stuff like that? I was like, yeah, of course. That's what I do. And they were like, all right. And I literally had no idea how to do any of this stuff. And then on the job, they kept just throwing ideas at me, and I was just giving it a shot. And I was like, I really hope they don't see through the fact that I don't actually know what I'm doing. Like, I was like almost at a point where I had like a YouTube tutorial in my earbuds. You know what I mean? Like, this is how to do this. And at the end of the job, the main guy comes over to me, and he says, that went really well. I was like, thank you. He said, what are you doing next week? And I was like, not a lot. And he was like, do you want to come to Finland and do a project in Finland? And I was like, yeah, okay. So then literally a week later, I flew to Finland, and then we went on like a tour of like the Scandinavian countries, just going around all of them, just like painting venues here, there and everywhere. And it was fantastic. And then that enabled me to then grow like a big portfolio with like murals, because obviously we're doing all these different venues. And then it just sort of expanded, and now I've got like the portfolio I have, and I'm able to sort of push that out to loads of different people. So yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah, it's been good. It's going in the right direction. Obviously, like you know, you all know yourself, with business, you just got to keep the ball rolling. But yeah, it's going good.
I think it's funny that you just say yeah, and then you just say yes, and then figure it out after.
Mate, that's my rule for everything. I just jump in. Like, I did a mural in Birmingham where they asked me if it could be 3D, and I was like, yeah, of course. And they were like, how will you do that? And I was like, there's a couple of ways. I just didn't want to say it. I don't know how. So there's a couple of ways. I'll probably just like, I'll have a look at the wall and see what we can do. Went home that night, started Googling like, how do you build a structure on a wall? And then the number one thing that came up was like to carve foam and screw it to the wall and then cover it in like filler so that it's rock hard. But I didn't realize at the time that was for internal, not external, but I was doing external. So I was in the outside of this bar. So I turned up the next day with like all this foam and like expanding foam cans and like a tub of filler. And I was just like, right, let's build this thing then, I suppose. And I literally just started screwing bits of foam to the wall, cutting it. And I was there for about 2 weeks. It took me ages because I just didn't have a clue what I was doing. And in the end, it came out quite cool. And there was a lady that came up behind me when I was doing it. And she said, is this what you do full time? I was like, yeah, it's what I do full time. She was like, do you want to come down to London and do one in London? I was like, yeah, of course. And it turned out to be for like the International Centre for Sustainability, right opposite the Shard in central London in Bank. In their head office in London, in like a £12 million London office. And she was just like, right, so you obviously, you know what you're doing, just crack on. I was like, yeah. And I had no idea what to do, but I just always loved the idea of just like, I'm a bit of a yes man. Like, I'll just figure it out, you know what I mean? And if I don't figure it out, then I'll just do something else and figure that out. You know, like if I'm on the job and it's not quite working, I'll just try something else. And if they ask me how I'm getting on, I'll be like, fantastic. You know what I mean? Just blag it. But I think it works because that's the only way I learn. I'm not really like I can't sit and read a book. I can't like listen to someone tell me how to do something. I have to just get out and do it myself. Like, that's the best way for me to learn, is just to like get both feet in and just like give it a go.
Just do it.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I think it's definitely helped me anyway, because like it's got me so many opportunities that I would never have had if I hadn't have just said yes, you know.
Same with public speaking, to be fair. Like nobody ever, like I never went on a public speaking course.
Yeah.
Like I watched a few videos on YouTube. I've only actually recently, I'm just reading a book at the minute, is on public speaking. It's the first book I've ever read.
7 years in?
Yeah, Talk Like TED it's called. And 7 years in. And for me, like, it's like you, like I just said, yes, I'll do it. And I'll figure it out along the way. I'll make a few mistakes and learn from it and keep doing it.
Yeah.
But we was on about it before we started recording. It's like, you're now 10 years in, I'm 7 years in. It's like, we didn't just wake up one day and be as good as what we are now.
This is it, yeah.
Like, it takes time.
Yeah.
Especially like, you're 27 now.
27, yeah.
I'm 30. So, like, I think the generation before us, from my experience of working in schools and just the way social media, I just think like everyone expects everything straight away. Like, there's a lack of delayed gratification. Everything's instant, and you know. And then I'm always saying to people like, I didn't just wake up one day. And like you said, you know, I think I had a natural ability because I've always been very comfortable at speaking to people. I've enjoyed speaking to people. I've always been in sales. I worked in sales for my dad before taking over. So I had the natural ability to be able to speak to people, hold eye contact, and manage body language to speak somewhat articulately. And then it's just like anything. The more you do it, the better you get.
Exactly.
Well, I bet if you compared even today's canvases to even 2 years ago, worlds apart.
Oh, 100%.
Like I said about the reel that I put on, which was one of the more impactful ones, talking about the night my brother passed. And it came up as a time hop or whatever it is on TikTok. And I watched it, and it was all right. It was good. Like, it actually went viral.
Yeah.
But I was like, me and Amy were sat there. I was like,
fuck,
I'm worlds apart.
Yeah. And that's amazing, though. I love that. Like, when I see a piece of artwork that I did 4 or 5 years ago, and I look at it now and think that's bad, that shows me that I'm heading in the right direction. You know what I mean? Like, if I seen a quote about it, it was like, if you're not ashamed of the person you were a year ago, you're not growing enough. And I love that, because I look back on stuff that I've done where I'm like, I appreciate that was the best I could do at the time. I'm not like shunning myself for it. But I look back and I'm like, I could do so much better than that now. And that's so good. Like, I love that feeling, because if I look back at 3 years ago and that was better than what I'm doing now, you know, like these music artists that like their best single was like 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're waking up every day like, will I ever top that? But to be able to look back and go, I'm better than I was 3 years ago every time, you know, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it.
You said something as well as like, you just said, and then figure it out.
Yeah.
I had something similar the other day at a school that I've spoke at a few times. I've done the talk that I normally do in the workshop. And they said, do you know anybody that speaks on toxic masculinity and misogyny? I said, I don't, but I'm pretty sure I could do a good job.
Yeah.
And I jumped on a call, and anyway, I said, leave it with me. And I came up with a presentation, and within 3 slides, I was like, this is perfect.
Really?
So I'm doing it for the first time next Tuesday. Something like that. Anyway, it's next week. It's either next week or the week after.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that for the first time, but it's like I have the ability and the skill set to present and public speak. All I need is a little bit of information.
Yeah.
That I'll put together on a slide, and you can just do it from there.
Yeah.
It's like you was asked to do a 3D canvas or a 3D piece of artwork. It's like, just figure it out.
Yeah. Like, I can kind of like, I'm thinking like, I've kind of got the skill set to maybe be able to pull that off. So it's like, let's just see if I can, you know what I mean? Like, why not? And that's the other thing. It's like, why not? Like, that's like the kind of my attitude towards a lot of things is just, why not? Like, just, and I think like, especially when it comes to something that could be huge for you, like if you're like, imposter syndrome is massive. Like, I had that big time when I was doing a lot of jobs in like Finland and stuff. Like, you know, I'd turn up on these sites and people would go, well, you're the artist. And I'm like, yeah. And they go, well, you're doing all of it. And I go, yeah, I'm going to do this whole venue. And they're like, I thought you'd be about 60. Because obviously, like, most sign writers and stuff, they're like so old now, because it's a bit of a dying art. So like, me as like a young guy turning up, they're like, how are you going to do all this? And it's like, you kind of feel like you're like way out of your depth. And I did think that a lot of the time. I was like, I don't think I'm like, why have they got me here? Like, I'm just like, I struggled with that a lot, where it was like, I didn't think I was at that place yet, but clearly I was, because these people they saw it in me before I did. So they'd flown me out there, and they were willing to pay that money and have me there. And I couldn't even see that I was worth that yet, but I clearly was, because I was there. But that's what imposter syndrome is, right? It's like, you don't see that you're actually at that ability.
How did you get over the imposter syndrome?
I think, to be fair, I think it was just a case of working through it and giving it my best. And then if you come out of it and you feel proud of yourself, that for me is enough to be like, maybe I'm not an imposter. You know, like if I turn up somewhere and I give it my absolute best shot and everybody loves it and I love the outcome, I can walk away from that thinking like, no, I deserve to be there because I pulled it off. You know, I did that. And I think that for me is like, if you just give it your best shot and it works out and you end up coming away feeling proud, then you're not an imposter because you did it, you know? And I think that's what, for me, it's like, just give it your best shot always. And even if you come away feeling a little bit deflated, like it wasn't exactly how you wanted to, that's okay. Learn from that and just move forward, do better next time. Because I think that's another thing. It's like, if your goal is to experience stuff, you can never really have a loss or anything because it's just all experience. Everything is just an experience. Like Gary Vee spoke about it recently. He said, you know, people will say, oh, I wasted so much time doing X, Y, Z. You didn't waste any time. It's all experience. It's all life. You know, it's all just stuff that you did. Whether it's a waste or not is up to you to decide. You know, like you might spend 5 years growing a business and then think you wasted your time because you didn't have a family, whereas someone else might have a family and think they wasted their time because they didn't have a business. It's all perspective. It's all just whatever you want to call it. And that's the massive thing for me now. It's like, I don't see anything as like, oh, I missed this opportunity or I didn't quite do that or I didn't do this. Everything's just like, it's less about the destination and more about the journey, you know, just everything is just worth appreciating. Not like this is a bad thing, that's a good thing. Just everything's good.
So I think for 27 years old, that's quite a mature way of looking at things. What's made you see life that way at such a young age?
I think, to be honest, it's probably come from having no choice, really. I think I struggled a lot with my mental health when I was a teenager. I think I probably experienced my first sort of, I wouldn't call it a battle, but my first experience with like a depression, if you like, when I was about 17, 18. Got a job in sales and I had a girlfriend at the time and then lost both of them. And that was like my first feeling of like, life's over. Like, you know, when you're a teenager, it's like, this is it, life's over, everything's fucked. But then obviously you realise it isn't. But it was hard for me to kind of, there was a lot of time throughout my career and throughout my life where it's been hard for me to sort of look past what's happening right now. And I kind of got stuck in my own head a lot and I struggled a lot with like self-worth and everything. And in those moments, you've only really got two options. Like what we said earlier, you can either let it make you or break you. And I think that through going through those times of, right, is this going to make you or is it going to break you? And choosing to let it make you every time and trying to put that work in, you kind of just have to expand your perspective on life. You can't just sit there and think that the way you think is final and this is how it should be and this is how it always is going to be. If you're not happy with your situation, you've got to put that work in and you've got to do the research and learn and go through experiences and you know, shift your mindset. Like if you're naturally quite a negative person, that can be changed. You can change that. Like you don't have to just be that. And I think that's something that I learned. It was like, I love information. I love learning about stuff like neuroplasticity and things and psychology and stuff like that. And when you learn these things, your brain chemistry changes, it physically changes. And I think it was just a case of just wanting to pull myself out of the dirt too many times and just thinking, I don't want to be like this anymore.
Was there multiple times that you struggled with your mental health?
Yeah, for sure. There was, I think I self-sabotage a lot where like I'll kind of, if I experience something really good, not so much now, I think I've got better at it over the last couple of years, but towards the start of my career and my early 20s, I didn't really, because I come from my family growing up was not very wealthy at all. Like we didn't have money and whatnot. Like my mum would always make sure that we had everything we needed. She was incredible. But like I used to save my lunch money at school in order to like go and buy some trainers because like I knew that if I asked them, I'm probably not going to get them. So I'd like, my mum would give me £2 a day for lunch. I'd save it, not have lunch, and then end of the week go get a bus to Sports Direct and get some trainers because like that was what I wanted, and I knew that there was no real other way of getting them. And so then when I started to do well for myself and I started to see like success and money, there's that sort of voice in your head of like, this isn't you, like this this isn't like, you know, this isn't translating because you're that kid who like doesn't have money for shoes and now you suddenly got money for an Audi. Like that's not right. Like you need to fuck all this up. And it's like you kind of just self-sabotage and then it ends up, you just kind of bring yourself back down. And like I said, I've got better at it over the last couple of years. I've started to sort of like really recognize my worth and just be more confident and not do that that same stuff. But that's definitely something I've struggled with. I think a lot of people are the same. I think that if you experience any kind of high after feeling like quite low for a while, it's hard to accept that that's real. It's hard to accept that that is actually what you're worth. If you've felt so low about yourself for so long, and then all of a sudden someone's like, no, I think you're worth twice that much. It's hard to accept that. You're kind of like, am I? And then when you get it, you kind of almost want to throw it away. You can go back to what was comfortable of just self-loathing and just, back to like the formality, or the familiar. And yeah, like I said, I've got better at it. I have definitely got better at it, but it's definitely something I struggle with. I don't know if you're the same. Have you ever struggled with like self-sabotage and...
Definitely struggled with self-worth, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I started working with a mental performance coach at the beginning of last year, which was mental performance therapy sort of combined in one. And I think for me, it was like an unhealthy drive to be successful.
Yeah.
Because I blamed myself. Something that I uncovered while working with Kieran. Kieran, the mental performance coach, great guy, highly recommend him. Was like I always knew that I had like an unhealthy mindset around work, and like I've got to work every hour of the day, and if I don't, I'm not good enough, and stuff like that. And I kind of knew, I kind of was conscious enough to think like I blame myself for losing my brother and the things that I said to him. But then what he helped me uncover was I actually blamed myself, although I'd never ever thought about this, for my mum and dad getting divorced when I was 9.
Wow.
Which I'd never thought about in my life up until that moment.
But that was just deep.
Which was strange, because like I look at my mum and dad now and fucking hell, you'd never put them together in a million years. They're so worlds apart.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that was bizarre. It was something I'd struggled with until working with him. Was like, I must work 12 hours every day, and then if I don't, I'm not good enough. And then measuring my self-worth on validation from
output,
extrinsic things rather than intrinsic. And working with him was probably one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like now I can quite, although I work hard because I love what I do, which is similar to you.
Yeah.
But like now I'm a lot less harsh on myself.
Yeah.
Like if for example, today I've done podcasts all day with my other business. I'm gonna have a lot to catch up on.
Yeah.
Previously, I'd work until I went to bed.
Yeah.
Like, I've got to get it done today.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm less harsh. I'm a lot more relaxed.
Yeah.
I'm like, it'll get done when it'll get done.
Yeah.
And nobody's sat at the other end of the computer waiting for me to send a reply to an email.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely struggled with it.
Yeah, that's brilliant though. I think I look at it as like, you see that you smell the smoke of like there might be something wrong, but therapy helps you kind of find out where the fire is. It's like maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And I think I kind of over the years I've tried to dissect myself a little bit and figure out like, why do you feel this way? Like, why do you have that self-worth issue? And my dad left when I was born. And so I've never had a dad or a big brother or anything, or an uncle or anything like that. I've got my granddad, but like, all my friends at school, they'd have like, I'm going to go play football with my big brother or my uncle or my dad. And I didn't have any of that. And so I think that was part of why I struggled with my self-worth, because, one of my main sort of caregivers had just abandoned me when I was born. So you kind of have this feeling of like, must just be not worth much then if like, the one person out of the two that's supposed to stick around just didn't. And so I've kind of like attributed a bit of that early sort of self-doubt to that, and tried to work on that. And now this is where I pride myself, because I feel really proud of the man that I am today. And I feel really proud of the fact that I've been able to do that despite not having a specific like male role model in my life like that I can look to for that sort of like the way to be a man. And I think that like with my mum when she was ill, I really stepped up to the plate, and like she said a lot like when she was going through the treatments that she wouldn't have been able to do it without me, and that I was like a rock. And that for me is like huge, because I think the role of a man, especially in a family, is to do that, is to step up to the plate and to be there, and the fact that she needed me and I was there, it kind of proved like it helps me sleep at night, because if that wasn't the case and I'd have fumbled that, then I don't know if I would be able to live with myself, because that's what it's always been about for me. It's about like being a man, a proper man, like that I can, an independent man, I can do this. And so in that situation when I'd hear her say that. And she used to come to my flat, and she'd basically moved in with me when she was getting her treatment because she was so tired and she couldn't really do much. And she, like I say, she moved in with me. And when she was having her meetings with the doctors, I'd go with a big, notepad, and I'd ask him so many questions, and I'd try and get so much information, and I'd just completely offload that information from her because she wouldn't have the energy to take on anything that was going on. So I became like her sort of carer, and just like any information came through me, and then I'd just dissect it and give her the info that she needs. There was times when the doctors would be like, "Why are you asking me about the HER2?" And I'm like, "I just need to know this answer because it's like bugging me." And then there'd be times where that would be, not so good because I'd learned something that I maybe didn't want to know. Like, for example, she had triple negative cancer, which we thought was a good thing because it's triple negative. You think negative, that's good. Turns out it's the most aggressive form of cancer you can have. It spreads the fastest. So when I read that on my phone, and she's sitting in front of me, and she says, "What's the matter?" And I'm like, "Nothing." And I just close my phone. She's like, what you just read?" And I was like, "Nothing." And then I go downstairs and just cry because I know what she's going through, but I can't tell her that because she doesn't need to know that. She just needs to worry about getting her treatments and just, plodding along and doing the best she can. She doesn't need to know the severity of it necessarily, I don't think, anyway. If I can take that burden, then I will. If I can take the burden of knowing how bad this could be, but then being a shining light for her of like, it's going to be okay. She doesn't need to be brought down. She's already going through enough. And so that was quite a heavy load to bear, but it made me feel really proud because, like I say, she told a lot of people that she wouldn't have been able to do it without me, and that like I say, genuinely helps me sleep at night. And whenever I'm like struggling, I just think about that. The fact that, like for example, when we got her home, after she'd been like given the terminal diagnosis that it was the end of life, we got her home to the house, and I told her to go onto a ketogenic diet. So I'm assuming you've seen Stephen Bartlett's podcast where he talks to a scientist in America about the effects of a ketogenic diet on cancer cells. There was a guy in England that had a brain tumor for 10 years, and he lived for 10 years with his brain tumor because he went on a ketogenic diet. And so I got them on this diet, and her health was deteriorating every single day, and we could see it in her. And my sister said, "I don't think we're going to have much longer." And my mum said, "Well, hang on a minute, because we've not given this diet a go yet." And she, even in those moments where she was like clearly like we were losing her, she had so much faith in me that I was going to pull it, that I was going to turn it around. Like, she was like, no, Charlie's got this diet. And that breaks my heart because in that moment she thought I had the ability to save her, and I didn't. And I tried, but I didn't. And but it's just the fact that even in that moment when she's having seizures 4 times a day, and she's on so much medication, and she's been told it's terminal, she still thinks that I'm going to pull her out of there. That just goes to show like how much faith she had in me, And but it was the relationship that we had. We were like 2 playing cards like this, without each other, there'd be no structure. She was there when I needed her, and I was there when she needed me. And so that's why it's hard now, because I feel like she was the only person that really kind of got me, like she really understood me to my core. So it does feel quite difficult now because it's like I don't feel a connection to anybody the same way I did with her. So it's like losing your heartbeat or something, like your brain. It's something so important, and so like, it's hard, but then I don't like to think of myself as a victim, because I always give this example to people who ask that. Imagine if you did an ancestry test and you found out that your great-great-grandfather was like Albert Einstein or someone in a royal family somewhere. The amount of pride you would feel to come from that lineage of excellence. That's how I feel. And I don't need an ancestry test because I saw it every day. I feel so proud to be able to call that woman my mum and to say that she raised me. And she will always be my mum, even though she's not here now. She will always be my mum, and that makes me genuinely so proud to be able to say that. And that's why I don't consider myself a victim, because I had the greatest mum in the world, and that's such an honor. You know, and I met a girl who writes poetry, and she was fostered when she was like 2 or something like that, and she never met her real parents, and she was showing me her poetry, and it was talking about how can I ever trust somebody when my own parents have abandoned me and XYZ, and it made me think, like, there are people out there who don't even have a mum at all, you know, and or if they do, their mum's maybe not there, or they don't get that love or support. And I had all that, even though it was cut short. I had it for 26 years, you know, in the crucial part of my life where I needed it most. She was there, and I feel like it's such an honor to be able to say that. So I don't feel like a victim at all. I feel so proud, but it's just such a shame that I wasn't able to spend a bit more time with her, you know, that it was cut short. Wow. Almost went there. I felt so good. I never talk about it, really. I never talk about any of this stuff, ever.
The way you just described it, though, mate, like, I don't think anyone could have put it quite like that. I think she'd be immensely proud of you, mate.
Thanks, mate.
The way that you carry yourself and the way that you show up to the world as a man, you know, I think she'd be really proud. I didn't obviously know your mum, but she sounded like an amazing woman.
Yeah.
She raised an amazing son.
Thank you, mate.
So you should be really proud of yourself, man. I'm sure she would be looking down immensely proud with a big smile on her face.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. I really hope so. And it's a massive drive for me now. Is like, I want to be her greatest achievement. I want people to look at me and it'd be so obvious that I had a great mum because of how I am. I want her to shine through me. As people look at me and say, wow, what an amazing upbringing that guy. Like, even when I'm 70, I want people to say, like, you must have had an amazing upbringing. I want people to notice my mum through me, and everything I do is a reflection of her, you know. It's like she's in the driver's seat. I'm just the vessel. I'm just executing on what she gave me, you know. She's the fuel. She's everything. And so this is why, like, now I pride myself on just, like, when there's no one around and when I'm on my own, the thoughts I have and the way I view the world, you know, being able to get up with a smile on my face and actually look forward to tomorrow. You know, it's like, my biggest fear growing up was losing my mum because she was the only parent I had. And to know that that's happened and I'm still here, I mean, at the very least alive, and I'm still looking forward to tomorrow, and I still see a sunset on the horizon. I don't see it as bleak. I see, you know, how beautiful life can be, and I'm excited for the future. It makes me feel totally, like, impervious to anything that could happen, because nothing can hurt me that much ever, you know. And if that can happen and I can still be charging forward towards tomorrow, like, it just makes me feel invincible, you know, because there's nothing that can happen now that can hurt me that much. And so I think it was a Andrew Tate quote where he said, like, imagine being like, they shoot their biggest, most violent weapon at you, and you just stand there unfazed, and they think, shit, what do we do now? Like, that was the most ammo that we had. Like, how do we take this guy down? That's how I feel. Like, you know, I was given the toughest task I'll ever face, and to be, and obviously, you know, grief isn't linear, you know, and it can go up and down, as you know, but to be here now with this attitude and to have this mindset of, I still want to push on, you know. I don't want to let my demons take over. I don't want to just give in to temptation. I want to be better. I want to constantly strive. I want to be the best version of myself. To have this mindset after that, just like I say, it makes me feel totally invincible. Like, there's nothing that can take me down now, you know. Unstoppable. Exactly.
I can always tell when I meet somebody, one, if they've been through some form of trauma, and two, how well they've been raised. And for me, it's one of the big things is manners. Like, manners mean everything to me.
Yeah.
And it's something that my mum and dad instilled into me. And when people don't have good manners, I find it very irritating.
Yeah, me too.
But then two, that's about how well you've been raised. Like, when you walk through the door, for example, and you check if there's anyone behind you to make sure you keep the door open.
Yeah.
And, you know, just the general please and thank yous and what you do for others. But perspective for me is, not always, but more often than not, it's an outcome of life experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm feeling very lucky and privileged to be able to sit and listen to you talk about how, like, your relationship with your mum.
Yeah.
Like, nearly had me going. And I think the way that you described it, mate, it's phenomenal, to be honest with you.
Thank you, mate.
But to hear about your perspective on life now, I feel almost the same in terms of like, I feel unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like nothing, like the dreams and the goals that I've had, like it's not a case of when. It's not a case of if.
It's when.
It's a case of when.
Yeah.
Like anything that I put my mind to and anything I want to do, it will be achieved. It's a case of when.
Yeah.
Not
You
if.
think like you've been doing this 7 years now.
Yeah.
You've the person you are today. You manifested this 7 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and whether you believe in law of attraction, maybe you do.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
I think that, you know, I personally manifested not knowingly at the time, but I believed that I would be me as I am today. I believed that I would be this person years ago. I believed that I would be a successful artist with a good heart and all the rest of it. And so now it's like, but if I want to be anything in the future, all I've got to do is believe and just do it, and I'll do it because I did it already. Like I am who I wanted to be, and I'm not there yet. Like if you look at it as like there's like milestones along the journey. I'm probably at like the first or second one. Like as in, I made it into being an actual artist full time. But I made that milestone. I hit it. And it's like, well, the next one's obvious. Of course I can get there. I did that one, you know. And it's like you kind of prove that, you know, every day you wake up and you prove to yourself that you can do it, and you build that confidence and that strength. For it's like, I do stuff. I don't just talk about it. I don't just want it. I do it, you know. And it's like you're 7 years in, I'm 10 years in. We've done it. Like we've put the time in. It's growing. It's in front of us. You know, if you're watering a plant every single day, you see it growing. You wouldn't just assume it's going to stop. You keep watering it and it's going to keep growing. Like you've got the proven record. Like I'm watering it. It's growing. It's going to keep growing, you know. And that's the way I see it. It's like I'm the person now that I wanted to be, and so the person I want to be at 35 or 40, I just got to do. It's already in my timeline. I've just got to get there. You know what I mean? I'm already there. Like I'm already that guy. I'm just not 35 yet. But when I am 35, I will be him with all the stuff that he's going to have. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You just got to put the input in.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. It's like if you watch the Rocky film, for example, like, yeah, if you say to yourself, right, who's the character in the whole film that's going to have that fight at the end? Who's going to do the thing at the end, the final part of the film? Which character in the film is going to be the one to do it? You'd watch the film and go, well, it's probably that guy that's running up the stairs at 6 o'clock in the morning, doing all that hard work, eating that food in the gym all the time. It's probably him because he's the one that's doing all of the stuff that becomes that guy that beats the guy. And I'm now the guy doing the stuff. I'm running up the stairs. I'm in the gym, and you know, metaphorically speaking. So it's like I am going to be that guy doing the thing at the end because I'm doing the stuff that guy does before he gets there. You know what I mean? And it's like if you have that belief in yourself of like, if I wanted to be him at 35, what would I be doing? What I'm doing now. So I'm going to get there. And it's like it takes a long time to build that up because I didn't always think like that. I didn't always have that just like steadfast belief that was going to happen. But over time, you build that muscle of like, oh, I can do this. Like, I can do it. You know, you prove to yourself enough times. Like, if you say to yourself, I'm going to get up at 5, and you do, you then you go from being a talker to a doer. You know what I mean? You're no longer the guy that says they're going to wake up at 5. You are the guy that says you wake up at 5. You do that. You know, and it's like if you say you're going to do a certain thing and then you do it, you're no longer the guy that talks about it. You're the guy that does it. And you keep doing that over and over and over again. Before you know it, you're just the guy. You're not the guy that just like, oh, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. You become him. You know what I mean? Through your daily habits, which I'm sure like you know all about because you're a very regimented bloke.
Yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it? Like how many people want the thing but don't want to do the thing.
Exactly, yeah. They want to be the guy at the end doing up the fight, but they don't want to be running up the stairs. Yeah. But it's like you've got to. That's the whole. You don't become him without.
You don't get there without doing all the stuff on the way.
Yeah, it's like we were saying earlier. Like you know, the time that we've taken to grow to where we are today is not a bug. It's a feature. It's not like something that like, oh well, I wish I could have just snapped my fingers and got here. It's essential. It's part of the process. Like you have to do that. Like. And I think for me, if I'd have got that big job at the beginning of my career, I'd have been way out of my depth. And I probably still would have said yes to it because I'm an idiot. But I'd have been way out of my depth. I wouldn't have known what I was doing. It would have come off really badly. I wouldn't have been able to manage a project like that. But through trying and getting better and doing slightly bigger projects and then throwing yourself into slightly bigger projects, you build that muscle and you build that mentality. And then when you do get the big jobs, you're ready for it because you've done the 10,000 hours. But it's so essential. It's so essential. And also, I think if you enjoy what you do, you're not even like, when I think that it's been 10 years, that's a long time, but it doesn't feel like it because I've been enjoying it. It's flown by because I'm not thinking about like, got to get this by next year. I've got to get this car by next year. I've got to do this by next year. Like you said earlier, it's input versus output. Like just focus on what you can put in and the output will come out. But you just focus every day on like, what can I put into this? What can I get into this? And then before you know it, 10 years have gone by and you're like, well, actually, this is actually done into a decent thing. But you've just been so focused on what you're putting in.
How did we get here?
Yeah, you're like, wow, how did this happen? But it's like, you're not even worried about that. You know, you're just doing it for the love of the game. Just putting as much in as you can.
So as well, I always say to people, like, where you are in your journey, that's exactly where you're meant to be. You know,
100%.
And it's like, as I said about the, I'm being not fortunate because I've worked very hard to get to this point. But
yeah,
like I said, I had a bit of imposter syndrome the other day because, you know, client, big corporate company said they had X amount of budget. I told them the price and they said yes. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But then if that was like even 12 months ago or maybe 24 months ago,
yeah,
I wouldn't have had I wouldn't have been good enough to warrant that price.
Exactly.
But also I wouldn't have had the conviction, although I did feel like I had imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I still had the conviction
to be like, I can do that.
To be able to be like, yeah, that I'm that guy.
Yeah.
But 12 months before, 24 months before, even 6 months ago, I wouldn't have been that guy.
Exactly.
So it happened when it was meant to happen.
This is it, yeah. And if you then had an opportunity, something happened in your career where maybe you felt like you'd lost a big opportunity, or maybe something happened that wasn't in the plan, I now look at that as a redirection. I never look at anything as like a, damn, I missed my make or break opportunity, and that's it now. It's over. I've hit a roadblock. It's done. It was a really funny, well, not funny, but like a good analogy the other day on Facebook. It was like a GPS will never tell you you've made a mistake. It will just reroute. And I love that because it's like, you never really make a mistake. You just go in a different direction. It's like, you know, you think that this is the road you need to be on, but then you take a right and it's like, oh no, I'm going wrong. It's like, no, you just pop a left and go around there and just come around and you can go the other way. And it's like, so, I think that's so sick to think about that.
And the GPS doesn't go, you fucking idiot, like you made a mistake.
Exactly, it just goes, that's all right, we'll find a different way. Just carry on, let's go around.
Reroute, we'll get back to where you need to get. So it might just take a little bit longer, a few more turns on the way.
Exactly. And the funny thing is, I think about is like, to expand on that analogy, if you go left in that way, you might end up going past a Starbucks and get a little coffee that you wouldn't have got.
Going back to the you know, the input versus the output, I found that, like, I don't know if you've ever been there, but I was so focused on the outcome and lost track of the input.
Yeah.
Like I set, up until recently, like this year, like I'd set my goals based on the outcome and never get there. Or maybe I would on a few different ones, but like, I'd never get there. And then I'm like, you can't control the outcome.
Yeah.
You can only control the input.
Exactly.
If you control the input, like I was saying, one of my goals this year is post every day a short form piece of content on the different social platforms that I'm on.
Yeah.
Post a podcast episode once a week. And post a long form YouTube video once a week. Just do that. Don't focus on the outcome.
Yeah.
And then whatever the outcome is, but I can guarantee the byproduct of doing that is going to be fucking significant.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And I think that's so important to shift that mindset, because like if you'd have had a goal of like, I want to get to 1 million subscribers, let's say you got to 600k, you'd feel like a failure.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh fuck, I wanted 1 million and I only got to 600k.
Yeah.
But if you just forget about that, if you get to 600k, that's huge, because there was no like, oh, it's got to be here, and if it isn't there, I've failed. Anything you achieve is like, oh wow, we did really well this year. But you're not even worried about that. You know what I mean? I think that's huge. It's like with me, I look more at just like, how much can I put into this project? Like, how good can I make this artwork? Like, how good can I really get? And like, I want to be like known as one of the most like versatile, best artists in the country, if not the world. And that's something that I really want.
In the world.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Universe. But no, yeah, you are right. Yeah, the world. And I'm not going to get there by chasing goals and being like, okay, so I need an Audi by next year, or I need this specific type of office by next year. I'm going to get that by putting the work in. And now, like you said, that's the only thing I can actually control. Like to say, oh, I want to be that by 30 is ridiculous, because I can't control that. I might do, but I might do it by 40.
Do you know something I used to say when I was younger? I used to say, like, when I was early 20s, I'll be a millionaire by the time I'm 30.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be a millionaire by the time I'm 30.
Yeah, I used to say a similar thing. But then you kind of learn that, like, well, although that might happen, it's like, it's unrealistic to say an age, because...
But what does it mean, though? Like, this is the realization that I had.
Yeah.
And again, I had a kid that asked me the other day, and he was like, are you a millionaire? Are you rich? Like, how did you get rich? And I just said, like, define what you mean by rich.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm doing all right for myself, you know.
Yeah.
We've got a mortgage, we've got a car, we've got a roof over my head.
Yeah.
You know, probably got more than most people. Yeah, I'm very aware of that.
Yeah.
But you could give me another £10 million and it won't make me any more happier than I am right now.
Yeah, this is it. Exactly. Because I've had times in my life where I've done really well for a year and it's been great. And then I've also had times in my life where I've worked in a warehouse, and the two actually, in terms of how much I've enjoyed them, genuinely, there isn't a massive difference, because I'm quite good at like just accepting stuff for how it is and just being like, this is how the life is at the moment. Like, that's fine. Just grin and bear it. And like when
That's your mindset. Sorry to interrupt you. That's your mindset.
Yeah.
Like everybody, there's obviously people in worse situations than other people, but it's it's your perspective on that situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's how you see it. Like, you can make anything of any situation. It's how you look at it.
Yeah.
It's that what life do you see lens through?
Exactly, yeah.
Somebody working in a warehouse might think I fucking hate it, but somebody working in a warehouse might have been homeless 6 months before that.
Exactly, this is it. That's what I always say to people. I say, like, if you take two people and you give them both £1,000, one person might say, that's changed my life, I'm going to buy my kids loads of toys, I'm going to go on holiday, do whatever, that's fine. The other person might say, great, this is just my luck. And you go, what? And they say, well, I've actually got £1,500 credit card debt, so that's not even going to pay off my debt. Same amount of money, exact same thing. This person is pessimistic about it because it's not enough to do what they need to do. And this person is just grateful for it because it's like something that's going to change their life. And it's like the glass half full, half empty. A lot of people, use that analogy, but the glass never changes in that analogy. The glass is the exact same glass.
We had the one about the two brothers. One that ended up being really successful in whichever industry they pursued a career in, and the other one ended up being a homeless alcoholic or drug addict.
Yeah.
And somebody said to him, how did you end up that way? And their answers was both the same. My dad was an alcoholic. He abused me when I was younger.
Yeah.
One of them ended up going that way. The other one. So it's two people can be dealt the same hand.
Yeah.
Again, it's your choice.
Yeah.
And I always say this to everybody, and I reiterate it time and time again in my talks. You are going to go through hard times in your life. Like, it is inevitable that you're going to, at some point in your life, be faced with a challenge. You very sadly lost your mum. I very sadly lost my brother.
Yeah.
Different circumstances, equally,
horrible
and awful for both of us.
Yeah.
But we've both still had a choice. I could have quite easily, although it was going that way, gone down the route of just being a complete fuck up.
Yeah.
I thought, no, this is not me, and I'm not letting my life turn out like this. I'm not letting Liam's death be in vain. So I went the other way.
Yeah.
Same for you. The way that you've just described your relationship with your mum and your outlook on life is like one of the best things I've ever heard.
Wow. Thank you.
So, and again, like, it's perspective, and it's in which life you see lens through. And it's which direction you go in, and it's the choices that you make. Like,
Absolutely.
You've always got a choice no matter what.
100%. It's like we said earlier, like, you can take any situation and let it either make you or break you, and that is down to you. And I think a lot of people, don't understand what hard is. They get dealt a hand from life, and I think nowadays people are just so quick to say, well, this is like traumatic, and this is why I'm a certain way, or I can't ever come back from this. But like, I see now, I mean, I didn't always see it like this, but I see now anything that happens that's bad is just an opportunity for me to prove to myself and the world how I handle these things.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, if you give like somebody a specific weight in the gym, right? And you say, no one in this gym can lift that weight. Can you lift it? And it's like, you go, probably not. No, I can't lift it. Then you're just accepting that, like, that's something you can't do. But imagine being the only guy in that gym that can lift that up. And you're only going to find out if you can lift it by getting down, getting your hand around it and trying. And for me, that's how I see any kind of hurdle now. It's like, just get on it and just try it and just be the only guy. Like, people might say, no, there's no way. Like, a lot of people have tried to brand me as a victim from what I've been through. They've tried to say, like, that must be awful, it must be horrible, blah, blah. And they try and almost like feed you. I know that they don't mean this in a malicious way, but they try and feed you this negative energy of like, this is so awful. Like, you should be really take your time and all this. And it's like, I don't see myself like that. I don't see it as that at all. Like, I see it as an opportunity for me to make my mum proud. And I see it as like an opportunity to chuck more coal in the fire and like do more, and show people how amazing she was through me. Like, we've got this charity fundraiser coming up in June that we're doing for her in memory of my mum and my auntie, because we lost my auntie from cancer as well. And that, like, I went and spoke to this local DJ about it, and he was like, how many tickets do you want to sell? And I was like, well, it's all for charity, so I think like 1,000 or something. And he was like, he said, you won't sell 1,000 tickets. I was like, yeah, I will. And he was like, you won't. He said, just go a bit lower. He's like, don't bite off more than you can chew. And I was like,
I'll prove you wrong.
yeah, it's irrelevant. Yeah, like, I'm gonna do it. So like, you know. And then he was like, well, why don't you just do like a first one more intimate and blah blah. And I was like, look, whether we do the first one as more intimate or not, if I want to sell 1,000 tickets, there's 1,000 tickets being sold. Like, simple as that. Like, if I have to go door to door, I will do it. You know, there's no way that's not happening. And like, I see these as opportunities now. It's like, I want to look back on the last 10 years of my life and be so proud of what I did and be able to attribute that to a certain moment that spun me in that direction. Like we say, make or break you. Like these moments. I wouldn't like, because last year, the year after my mum passed, it was rough, and I without really realizing, I think I did sway into maybe a bit of alcoholism, where it was like, you know, I'd drink every day, but I didn't see it as like a huge problem, because I was like, well, I don't depend on it. I just like a pint. But then before you know it, you're like, oh, well, I have like 5 a day, so maybe this is a problem. And I was still functioning, I was still working, and I was still doing what I need to do.
Was it through the day or on?
Yeah, well, yeah, just like after work and stuff. Like, I'd come home from work and just have a few pints and stuff, and I'd end up just doing it on my own. And it was like, over time, I sort of, like, towards the end of last year, I was like, this is a real problem. Like, this is not good. Like, this is going to spiral into something really bad. And I was still functioning, and I wasn't like, you know, drinking myself into oblivion. But I realised that this is going to go badly. If I carry on with this, like, it's going to end badly. So I went sober in like October, November time. And don't get me wrong, now I still like have the occasional drink, but I've cut out like midweek drinking and binging. Like, I went out the other night, and all my friends were being sick in the taxi on the way home, and I'd had like 2 pints, and I was just ready to go to bed. So I like saw that was like negative, and just flipped on his head. I was like, that needs to stop. And I think that's another thing. Like, don't blame yourself if you use unhealthy coping mechanisms to cope, because that's what they're coping mechanisms. Like, you know, you can't blame yourself for not knowing what you know now. You only know now what you know because of what you went through. And I think it's like, I used that unhealthy coping mechanism to cope, but it helped me cope. You know, without that, I might not have coped. So it's like, I think it's about having grace for yourself and having humility for yourself, where you can look at it as like, I'm a human being, you know, and celebrate being a human, celebrate making mistakes and not always doing the right thing. Because who does? Who does always do the right thing, you know? And being able to look back and say, I didn't know then what I know now, but thank God I do now. And I'm able to, like,
and you won't
do
make the
better.
same mistake again.
Yeah, I won't make it again, and that's fine. But, you know, it's not always linear. That's just something I used to struggle with. So I used to think, well, the next year's got to be better than the previous one every time, or the next day's got to be better than the last one. But like, now I'll have down days where I'll just sit and cry, like, all day. Like, if I ever dream about my mum, I'll just cry all day. And I just allocate that day to just a day where I'm just going to feel it, you know? And I don't ever push those emotions out. Like, if I need to feel it, I will feel it, like, whenever that comes. And it's not as often as it used to be, but now I like, and for example, if I'm out with my friends or whatever and I'm feeling low, I won't try and mask it. I won't try and like pretend. I'll be honest. I'll really feel the emotion. And I don't think there's anything to be ashamed about. I think that if anything, that's how it should be. You know, I think I look at it as, you know, the longer you ignore it, the bigger it gets, and it just grows and grows in your subconscious. And then before you know it, you've got this trauma. You've got, you know,
and it hits there.
Yeah, exactly.
There on your chest.
Yeah.
And if you, like, talking is one of the best therapies that there is. Mm-hmm. But I think the thing about you, mate, is that you didn't let it sit there. You spoke about it, but then you took the necessary actions.
Yeah.
You know, you had the coping mechanism, but then you had the self-awareness to realise that it was becoming a problem.
Yeah.
And before it became a problem, you did something about it.
Yeah.
So you spoke about the problem, but then you took the necessary action to make sure that it wasn't a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Where I think a lot of people, and I just had the founder of Andy's Man Club on, Luke Ambler, which is a men's mental health group, and their motto is, it's okay to talk. And he said the first thing was like, it is okay to talk. Yeah. But you can't talk without taking action.
Exactly.
You can talk about the problem until you blue in the face, but if you never do anything about it, then nothing's ever going to fucking change.
This is it. I think I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, that's it. It's left in that. It's okay to talk.
That's sick. Wow. Yeah, didn't you say there was like 7,000 people a week?
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, what they've done, I was in tears. It was just phenomenal. I had so much admiration, respect for the guy. Yeah. Like the countless lives that it would have saved, you know, male mental health. Yeah. 335 groups across the UK, as south as Cornwall, I think he said, up into Inverness. And on average, they have just under 7,000 men attend every Monday.
Wow. But he's so right about like what you said about you have to put the work in. You can't, because it's called rumination, isn't it? Where you just ruminate on your problems.
Yeah.
And there was that lady that I can't remember what her name was. She was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and she said about it, where she said, you know, a massive like antidote for depression is to just go outside and just do something, and not just sit and wallow in your depression. And that's something that I've really like focused on, is not ever complaining or ruminating on anything. Like, I'll talk about it if I have to, but immediately after I talk about it, I'm looking for a solution on how to get over this. Like, I'm not just going to talk to you about it and then just go get back in bed and feel the same way. You know, if I'm coming to you, it's like I'm coming to you for a solution. Like, we need to figure out how we get out of this, you know? And I think that's massive, because I've spent so much time in the past, like especially when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, where I let the rumination get the better of me, where I would sit in bed and think negative thoughts and spiral downwards all day, where it would just get worse and worse and worse. And then before you know it, you haven't even got the motivation to go and get a shower or anything, because you just feel so deflated. But I think now I cut that off at the beginning, recognize the problem, and then immediately think about what I can do. Like, you know, if I could go back and talk to myself when I was in those states, I'd say, just do something. Like, just cut off the spiral where it's at now. Get out of bed and just go walk outside. Because in a room, in a you know, fixed place, you know, I feel like it does affect you mentally. Like, if you're in a bad place and you're sitting in a room isolated, I don't think that helps at all. I think for me, I like to just get outside, breathe some fresh air, and look around. And somebody might smile at you in the street, and it will change your whole day. You know, you walk outside and someone will just be nice to you, and you'll think, oh, maybe it's not actually so bad. But as you see, they say, you can't overthink. You can't think your way out of overthinking. And I think that's what rumination is. It's like you sit in bed and you're like, if I just think about this more, I'm going to be able to figure it out.
Do you know when I do that in the morning?
Really?
I'm a bad overthinker in the morning.
What do you think about?
Just fucking all sorts of shit, to be honest. But like, more often than not, it's like, it sounds ridiculous. I've got two different gyms that I train at. And one's on the way to work, one's on the opposite way. But both gyms are good for training separate things.
Oh, okay.
So I want to train chest and shoulders this morning. And this gym out of the way is the better gym, but I needed to go that way. So then in bed, I was sat there for fucking 20 minutes thinking which gym. And then I realised by this time, it's 6:30. I've been laid in bed for half an hour.
You could have just gone.
I could have just got back. Even if I wanted to go to that gym, it was out of the way. Spend half an hour thinking about it, which meant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, the point I'm getting at is that rather than thinking about the thing, just do the fucking thing.
Just do it, yeah. And even if it's such a small thing, like if you're laying in bed feeling like really deflated about something, and the most you can do is just get out of bed and just go sit somewhere else and do it. You just do it. Just make the small step, because similarly, how you can spiral downwards, if you change it, you can spiral upwards as well. Like, if you have a bad thought and then another bad thought and another bad thought, and you spiral down, you flip that on its head and you can spiral the other way. Like, for me, if I ever feel like I'm, you know, not quite doing enough or whatever, just going and cleaning my room or tidying up the flat a little bit, that makes me feel a little bit better. And I'll be like, right, let's go get some healthy food. Let's go get some nice food. Then that makes me feel a little bit better. And then before you know it, you're spiraling up. And then by the next day, you're back again, because you've done those tiny things that have helped you kind of go upwards. But if you go and buy a takeaway and you leave the flat in a bit of a bad state and you let it go the other way, the next day you wake up feeling even worse. And so it's just about recognizing it and just being able to nip it in the bud. But it's so difficult. It's so much easier said than done, because in those moments, I made an analogy about it on Instagram where I said, if somebody kidnapped you and took you to a remote island and said, you've got to stay here in this dark, rainy island, you can choose to swim back, but it's going to take you a long time. It's going to be hard and it's not going to be nice, but you can choose to swim back. But if in a week's time you've chosen to stay on that island, it's not your fault that you've been taken there, but it's your fault that you're still there a week from now because you chose not to swim back. And that's the way I see depression. It's like depression will take you somewhere, and it's not your fault that you're there. Your depression, those negative thoughts have came and they've put you in this place, but it's your responsibility to swim back. And if you don't, you're going to stay on that island. And that's how I think about like negative thoughts. It's like, do I want to stay here? Or do I want to swim back through the sea, which is going to be cold and minging, and there's going to be waves, it's going to be horrible because I'm going to have to get out of this bed, and I'm going to have to do this thing, and it's going to be hard, and I feel like shit, and I don't want to do it. Or do I just stay here and just stay on this island? You know what I mean? And it might take me a week to get back, but it's worth it, you know? And I think that's like, this is just recognizing it and being like, look, that you might not feel like it today, but just give it a try, you know, because tomorrow you feel a little bit better. The day after that, you feel a little bit better. And over a week, you'll be fine. But it's just about taking those small steps, I think, and not biting off more than you can chew as well.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
You know?
Love that analogy. This podcast is fueled by Prep. Prep is a nutrition-first meal prep company that allows me to have high-quality meals without spending hours in the kitchen. As a business owner that prioritizes their health and fitness, Prep allows me to hit my goals for the day without sacrificing loads of time. My personal favorite is the Cajun salmon, but if that's not for you, then there is plenty of other options as well, including vegetarian and halal. And the best part, you get 10% off your order when you use the code TOM10 at the checkout. That's TOM10 at prepuk.com. I'm going to ask you a question that you might not like.
Okay.
Are you worried that you're going to be replaced by AI?
Oh, geez. Do you know what? I've actually got an answer for this because somebody asked me this the other day. I don't think that I will ever be replaced by AI. Or more generally speaking, I don't think anyone in the creative field will be replaced by AI. And my example for this is in the 80s and 90s, electronic music became massive. Like people were listening more to electronic music, dancing music, stuff like that, and less of like AC/DC bands, you know, traditional guitars and drums and stuff like that. If you go to a festival now, the people that get the biggest audiences are the bands that play live because that's impressive. You might be a David Guetta, you might be able to mix some tracks on a PC or whatever, but sitting down at a drum set and playing a real guitar on stage is still, even after 50 years of electronic advances in music, is still the most impressive and most immersive experience for a human being. And so for me, whether you've got artwork or songs or anything made by AI, the most impressive, immersive, and valuable experience will always be that made by a human. And I genuinely think that. If you look at the past, anything that's come around that's supposed to be better, like you look at architecture, for example. Look at these warehouses that are being built. They're just big tins of beans. They're nowhere near as impressive as a cathedral that was built in 1507 by a human being. And although we're building loads of these massive structures now that are just cheaper and more efficient, people will always appreciate the cathedral more because a human being built that. And I think that that's tried and tested over centuries. And I don't think it'll ever change.
Yeah, everyone's going to remember the paintings that Michelangelo did.
Exactly. You could set a robot up to do the exact same thing, but it's a robot. No, there's no emotion. And people all often talk about like, but in the commercial setting, you know, if you've got like a budget to stick to and an AI, like, you know, graphic designer costs nothing and a real graphic designer costs hundreds or thousands, you're going to choose the commercial option, the cheaper option. But when you're talking about appealing to the masses and actually creating something for a wide audience of people, I don't think anything will ever replace human, like, innovation.
Just a quick one. Most of you watching this episode aren't yet subscribed. So if you want your weekly motivation from some incredible guests, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn your notifications on. Last question to wrap it up, which I always like to ask last. How old were you when your mum passed?
I was 26.
So you're 27 now?
27 now, yeah.
So it's been 18 months?
Yeah.
The way that you described your outlook on life now, I think kind of answers the question, but I'll ask it anyway. If you could go back to the day or the day after your mum passed, what would you say to her?
I'd probably just start by saying that it's going to be okay. Because at that time, I genuinely didn't think I would be able to live without her. I remember sitting with my nan and granddad and just crying because she was such an important part of my life that I didn't think I'd be able to survive without her. And I said to my nan and granddad, I said, I don't think I can do this. And they were like, what do you mean? I said, I don't think I can wake up tomorrow and just pretend that it's okay. And I just couldn't see like a route that made any kind of sense to me. It was just like, but she's not there. And it was, my goal in life was always to like provide for her, make her proud. You know, she was always my biggest fan and my number one supporter. And so to lose that, it was like, what's the point in any of this? And so if I could give him any advice, it would just be that it's going to be okay and you are going to figure it out. And that mindset I had back then was just from a lack of knowledge, because I'd never lived without my mum before. I'd never known what that could be. That was all I'd ever known. But now, after living without her for 18 months, I miss her like anything. And there's nothing I wouldn't do or give to just forget about seeing her. I'd just hold her hand through a curtain where I can't even see her. I'd give anything to just be able to feel her hand. But you do live and you do learn, and you do you do find the tools. And although it's hard and it feels impossible, it is going to be okay. And that's probably what I tell them.